Let me give you a short tour of the European team chess championships that I took part in. That happened right after the Grand Swiss. So, and during this European team championship, I was also playing in the Women's Speed Chess Championship, which went pretty well for me. I won against Vaishali, and then I lost to Hoyifan, unfortunately. I misplayed this 1+1 segment, but other than that, in 5+1 and 3+1, I played well. At least I was leading the match, but then collapsed completely. 1+1, unfortunately. It seemed so close, this victory, very close. Anyway, let's talk about the European Team Championships. That was the first time ever in my career where I played for the Swiss Chess Federation, like in a team event. I've played for 20 years for the Russian Chess Federation, but I had to switch, or at least I felt I had to switch this year actually, and now I'm representing Switzerland. So the European Team Championship was my first ever event for Switzerland, like in team events, and I enjoyed every single moment of it. I liked the team, I liked my teammates, the atmosphere, how they fought, and we're pretty happy with our overall result. We finished in the top 10 of we shared the 7th, I believe, place, but took 9th on tie breaks, and we are pretty hopeful to play as well in the Olympiad that will take place next year in September 2024 in Hungary. My journey, my chess tournament was doing. I was doing much better than in the Grand Swiss. Well, at least starting after two first draws. Actually, I was pretty worried because I started the European Team Championship the same way I started the Isle of Man. Well, the European. I started with 2 draws. And Isle of Man, I made 3 draws at the beginning, but these were draws, and I was worried that I just forgot how to win games. But then in the 6th round, because I was lucky in a way, in the sense that my team let me rest in the 1st round, and then they let me play and they let me focus on my match with Vaishali, so I didn't play that day as well. So I didn't play the. I didn't play something else. No. I also made three draws. Oh, I'm sorry. I also made 3 draws. Yeah. So that was the same at the beginning of this event. Let me show you. I made a draw with Anna Ushenina. Then I made a draw with Antoinette Stefanova. And then I made a draw with Lilith Mikrotichan. So I started the same way as an Isle of Man with 3 draws, and that made me worried a little bit that, oh my god, what's going on? Why am I making draws? And but then in round 6, so I didn't play in round 1, I didn't play in round 5, and only after a free day, where I played against Hoyifan, and this free day was fulfilled with chess. I played a nice game with against Monika Sochko. We played against Poland, and I was playing white. And Monika actually, she surprisingly opted for this accelerated dragon line. Usually she plays the French defense or the Caracan defense, but she decided to surprise me. But I was ready, surprisingly as well, because usually, I mean, in the last month when my opponent surprised me, I somehow I react badly. So maybe because of that, Monica decided to surprise me as well, but this time I played very well. So that's like one of the main lines of the Marozzi. Marozzi, right? That's Marozzi setup, accelerated dragon that often transposes to this Marozzi setup with two pawns on e4 and c4, two white pawns controlling this d5 square, and thus making it quite unpleasant for black to play. All main counterplay of black is connected usually with different breakthroughs to distract the pawns, to make them go away, and then play d5. Bishop e2, castle, castle, bishop d7. Well, I knew this opening line. I played h3, and Monica played rook c8. I don't think it's the main theoretical continuation. I think black has to exchange if white allows the knight on d4, because, well, her position is quite passive, so less pieces are left on the board. Easier for black would be to play. So after rook c8, I decided to use the moment and played knight to c2. Although we see that the val bar goes down, but okay, I think knight c2 is quite a reasonable move and quite a logical one, because there are lines with knight c2 earlier, and again, keeping all the pieces on the board I think is good for white. Bishop e6. This seems to be already quite an inaccuracy. I think black had to, had to attack this pawn and then try to undermine it, try to break through. And somehow in the center, although it's not clear if that would be possible, I mean, they do undermine, they do use the spin, so I cannot really capture on b5 with the pawn because the knight is hanging, and I don't really want to take with the knight because of this pawn on e4. I mean, generally it's not a good idea to exchange a side pawn for a central pawn, so probably I just should ignore this b5 and then play b4. But anyway, at least it would require some accuracy from white side. While after bishop e6, it feels like the rest was very easy. So of course I played f4. You don't need to ask me twice. And here black is already late with this idea, because after knight a5, attacking the pawn on c4, I protected it with b3. And after b5, thanks to the fact that my pawn is already on f4, I can simply play e5. And yeah, black's position is just collapsing, even though it seems that, okay, black won this central pawn, but in fact, it's just too bad, right? This bishop is under attack, and the pawn structure is just terrible. And yes, there are some concrete lines that white can try to find to win immediately. But even though I decided not to go for any of these lines in the game, my position was still so much better. Because here I spent quite some time in the game trying to calculate different lines connected with the play on the king side, because I mean the king, right, it seems to be very weak and it feels like checkmating it immediately. So that's why I was calculating different ideas connected with rook f1. I wanted to play b4 here, and then, I mean, just the idea is that if I play rook f1 immediately, I didn't think it was very precise, because then the queen can go to d8. Like if she takes, I mean, I don't have any checkmate, and the queen can join the forces via d8. So that's why I thought during the game that b4 is quite an important inclusion. But I mean, it looked pretty complicated to me, right? And even though it felt that I might be winning, but I just didn't want to take such a risk to sacrifice a piece, and because I was not sure that this position is winning. Okay, when you analyze with a computer, you see the evaluation, you see the line, and you see the move bishop e6, and suddenly, okay, you understand it's winning. But during a practical game, it's not that clear. It's not that it wasn't clear at all, and especially considering the fact that after a very simple move that I opted for, knight a7, just exchanging the knight, I have a huge advantage. I have a pair of two bishops, even though the number of pawns is still the same, but it's just a matter of time when those guys are gonna be lost. And I don't need to like enter those complications. It didn't feel like I need to. And indeed, I mean, we did reach an endgame, and then the pawn just went forward, supported by a pair of two strong bishops. And yeah, amazing that even though the material is still the same, like it's equal, but black's position is completely hopeless because this pawn is just way too strong. And okay, I don't mind to take one pawn, and then you see I have three passers, three passed pawns. Usually one far advanced passed pawn is pretty dangerous, but three connected passed pawns is just something unstoppable. And yeah, well, a few more moves and my opponent resigned and the knight got lost. So that was quite a relief to win one in a row after three draws at the beginning. So in round 6 I managed to win, and in round 7 I played against a legend. I played against Pia Kramling. Pia Kramling, we played against Sweden, and I was black against Pia, who did amazingly well in the Grand Swiss. She was playing on the first board, and she finished on 7 out of 11, I think. Just Pia is really, really something amazing, and an inspiration for many of us. While Pia is playing chess, you know, I feel I cannot complain that like there is a younger generation, and the girls are younger, they have more energy, and so on and so on. No, just Pia inspires us in many ways. So I've played many games against Pia, and in some of them we played the Catalan. But after a very disappointing game against Leia Garifulina in the Grand Swiss, I was kind of ready and prepared. I told myself not to invent a bicycle, just to do what I have to do, right? c6, b6, bishop a6, just knight d7, rook c8, c5. Basically, it's the plan in many of these Catalan positions, and that's exactly what I did. I even decided not to think. And bishop g5, yeah, looked a little bit weird. After h6, she went on g5 to give up this bishop, but after this exchange, she doesn't have any any ideas connected with an attack, because usually, she can play e4, even e5, I will retreat my bishop. and there is nothing else, right? Without this dark squared bishop, there is nothing she can actually do on the king side. So my position is very solid on the king side, and I can just simply develop my pieces on the queen side, prepare c5, and have no problems basically. Yeah, and again, I played very, very, very fast. As you can see, here are the times that we had. And so beautiful pawns on the 4th rank, but they are not that dangerous, luckily. So I'm just ready to play c5, and yes, we have to keep in mind that I have a pair of 2 bishops again, and thus opening of a position of the position, when the position opens up, it's basically favors the side with 2 bishops. Okay, e5, bishop e7. Yes, so we exchanged to eliminate this pawn center. I have the isolated pawn, but well, yes, it's quite weak. But even if I lose this pawn, thanks to this powerful 2 bishops, I don't think I'm in any danger. And here the easiest move to continue would have been knight c5, with the idea to play knight e6 and prepare d4. Well, quite a pleasant position, but you see, here my creativity started to wake up. So I kind of made sure it's sleeping during the opening and the beginning of middle game phase. So I played very, very fast, but here I started to play creatively. So for some reason, I didn't like the plan with knight c5, and then well, because I thought that, okay, if I would play knight c5, probably Pia would just go queen e3, and then she would play knight d4, and I still have this isolated pawn. And for some reason it was not very clear to me what I was going to do. Although, again, I mean, the position is just great, right? I can make, there are many useful moves that I can make here. Rook e8, queen d7, but again, some creative notes. I added some creative notes into my play, and I played knight to b6, which doesn't look very obvious, but suddenly, yeah, my knight maneuver in this game looked like this. Surprisingly, in a few moves it would just win this exchange, which is impressive. When I was making this move, of course, I didn't expect it to happen. About the Swiss Federation, I have a Swiss passport. I'm a Swiss citizen, so I have double nationalities. So that's why I switched to the Swiss Chess Federation. Okay, knight b6, queen to g4, trying to let this knight go to d4, because also, I mean, one more thing about knight b6, that in case of queen e3, I would also, I think, consider playing knight a4 with the idea to play rook c3. I mean, suddenly rook c3 I played, knight d4, so be thinking about attacking my king side, so I should be careful. You always have to be careful, and that's exactly why I played bishop c8, because well, knight f5 would be pretty unpleasant. And here, if she plays knight f5, I can just exchange and play queen c7. This pawn is hanging always, and this one is, we can't say that it's very strong, right? So after bishop c8, white went to e2, queen e8, quite a weird move, but again, some kind of prophylactic, I believe, against knight b5. against e6, and well, and I'm still thinking about playing knight a4. Knight a4 immediately was possible, but then, okay, then you need to calculate all these lines with e6. So that's why I played queen e8, rook a to b1, knight a4, and here Pierre made a mistake. The position is quite complex and very unclear, but she captured the pawn on d5, and it turns out to be a very, very serious mistake. I can even say a blunder, but okay. Even though the pawn is not protected, after bishop takes d5 directly, after bishop takes d5, I played rook c5, attacking the bishop on d5 and preparing this knight c3, family fork from c3. And after queen f3, probably Pierre was hoping that she will be able to somehow, because of these counter threats, exchange this knight and not lose material, but in fact it's just bad for white. Queen d8, knight e4, a lot of small tactics that plays in favor of black. Suddenly this knight is hanging as well, and here after queen c7, Pierre was about to capture on d1, only realizing that bishop g4 wins the game. Again, those beautiful two bishops, and if the queen takes the bishops, then it's like checkmate alert. Checkmate alert. Okay, she tried to escape with the bishop, but I still have an extra piece, and yeah, I won the game. I won the game. So that's a pretty interesting game, but white of course made a very serious mistake by capturing the pawn on d5. Nevertheless, I managed to win the second game in a row, which felt as a very nice relief. And then there was a deja vu moment. I met again Phone Mars Destroyer. Hi, thank you for resubscribing. I met again Aline Roberts, and that was a game. I got lucky. I got lucky. Yeah, before capturing on d5, she should have asked herself whether, what my idea. Tata Steel, actually, I played several times. I think 4 or 5 times I played. I played in the Challengers, this B tournament, 2 or 3 times. And in the open section, I think 2 times as well. And I enjoy, I like the atmosphere. Many players don't like it and complain about the weather, and but right now I just cannot. I cannot imagine myself focusing on one tournament for 3 weeks. It's just too much. So it's a place for younger people. Okay, so Aline Roberts, in the Grand Swiss, I made a very fast draw against her playing with white. There was the French defense, and here I also played with white, and we also, again there was another French defense, but this time I opted for the advanced variation. Aline was well prepared, and I cannot say the same for myself, so she opted for quite a rare line with knight e5, queen b6, and rook c8. I played king to h1. Okay, this move is useful sometimes in some lines after bishop d3, if black captures on d4, bishop e3 white plays, and knight f3 comes without a check. So some kind of, it's a very weird situation where basically we play, I mean, both sides play wait and see games. White is waiting for black's next move, and they want to see bishop e7 on the board, because as soon as this bishop is developed to e7, white has a chance to play g4, and the knight cannot retreat to e7 anymore. Of course, black doesn't want to commit, and thus they sometimes make all those strange looking a6 h6 moves, and white is also doing something similar basically. But here in this game, Aline played knight a5. As far as I understand, she prepared this line at home with the idea, like one of the basic ideas in the French defense, to play bishop b5 and to exchange those bishops. And that's why I didn't play bishop d3, because bishop b5 would play probably rook e1, would have been a better decision that's compared to what I did in the game, with the idea to play knight e3, but then to capture with the rook, with the piece, not with the pawn. Because in the game I played knight e3 immediately, but the problem is that I had to capture with the pawn. And surprisingly, this structure, even though I was pretty optimistic about it in the game, it's not that, I mean, the whole position is not that good for white anymore. Why? I mean, I don't know. I don't have an answer to this question. Luckily, when I was playing this game, I had no clue about the evaluation, the computer evaluation of this position. And actually, I was enjoying my maneuvers. I thought during the game that I played pretty interestingly. Knight e1, transferring the knight to d3 in order not to let black exchange the light squared bishop. Bishop b5, b3. Okay, trying to stop all those possible ideas with the square. a3, same story, right? I don't give any possibilities for this knight to get to b4, and thus, again, in general, since I have more space, exchanges are not in my favor. Exchanges are usually in the favor of the side who has less space. But we can see, yeah, that the eval bar is pretty happy about this position for black. But, ooh, what do we have? Wow, Polar Bear ABC, thank you so much for 10 gifted subscriptions. I appreciate it very, very much. So, we see the eval bar liking the position for black, but somehow, during the game, little by little, black's position, was getting worse and worse and worse. Let's see how it happened. I even don't know. I haven't analyzed it deeply yet, just to understand what was what went wrong. Okay, let's have a look. So a5, rook f3, f6. The engine doesn't like this idea very much, although again it's one of the main ideas for black. It makes some kind of, it first prepares a4, forces white to play b4, and then uses this white squares. f6 immediately, it suggests to be in white's favor again. It's about equal, and here a rook e8 is the move that the engine doesn't like at all. Just the rook goes away from the open file. The engine suggests instead knight e7 with the idea to play knight f5 and to keep the rook on c8. After rook e8 in the game, knight f4, knight d8, I was very happy. I felt that, I kind of outplayed my opponent, or my opponent lost something a little bit, and it was clear to me that the evaluation of this position is already better for me. So I am the one having initiative. Yes. And okay, bishop b2 does look weird, right? Why did I make this move? I mean, it does look weird to me a little bit to put the bishop on this closed diagonal. Interesting, interesting. I see what the computer suggests. It's an interesting idea, but very, very unexpected one. Bishop d2, well, attacking the pawn. And after b6, b4. And then knight d3 or queen b1 and bishop b4, something like that. Okay, maybe, very interesting. I played bishop b2. I was getting ready for this possible e5. Queen d2, so I kind of tried to force her to play b6, because after that the bishop on c6 will not be protected by the pawn. Eileen didn't want to do that. I played queen c1 anyway. e5, and that's one of the key moments. Yeah, that's the key moment of the game. One of the key moments, okay. Here I could have gotten well, a very significant advantage. And actually I saw all the ideas, but somehow I made a mistake. So the right way here, the right way to continue the game was to capture on e5, to give a check, knight e6 check. And the main idea behind this check is that rook e6 loses because of bishop a3, queen d7, knight e6, and suddenly we realize that black doesn't have time to capture the knight because of the checkmate on f8. Thus, a rook e6 is not possible, but then, okay, king h8 has to be played, bishop a3, and here the bishop on e6 covers the 6th rank. We're gonna see that in the game it was pretty important. And black has to retreat her queen to b8, but okay, the queen on b8 is very far away from the king side, and thus I can play something like this. Oh, we have a level 3 hype train. Great, thank you guys. So queen d1, yeah, and here queen h5 is coming. My two beautiful bishops, look at them. The rook on f2, the knight on f4. I mean, something, white has done something good in this game. Yeah, I mean, next season Pro Chess League I hope to play for the same team as I played last season for Levitov Chess Wizards. If nothing changes, well, at least I've committed to play for them for the moment. Then we'll see. Okay, so, but for some reason I decided to start with bishop a3, and here I was going to capture, I think, on a5. My initial idea was, or what was I going to do? I don't even remember what I was going to do. That's my problem. But yes, Derek J, hi. I'm trying to recall what I was going to do, but only. Well, I realized that after capturing, I am just losing the game because of queen h4, and that's it. The game is over. Double attack. So I was in complete shock. to realize that queen h4 actually is a huge threat. And suddenly, as you can see, I had 12 minutes before that. When I made my next move, I had 8. So the time trouble was approaching. Knight h5 is an okay move. Knight d3 would have been more solid. Let's put it this way. So knight d3. It was time to start playing for a draw, and I was still thinking about building up an aggressive attack. But after bishop h4, I already I lost it. I made a mistake. Rook f1 was the strongest move. Okay, well, it's still okay, but it's so much more difficult to play for white. And you see here I have 8 minutes. Now I have 5 minutes left. Queen f1, I have 3 minutes left. Queen g6, and here I couldn't continue finding strong. Well, to tell you the truth, white has the only move that keeps the balance, and it's just so difficult to find. It's just so difficult to even think about it. The idea is very, very beautiful, but it's just impossible to find even with 30 minutes on your clock. And what to say if you have just 3? Okay, I made something, okay, some mistake, but anything else but one move in this position is a mistake. And actually the computer is so desperate that the move, the second strongest move in this position is knight takes g7, just to give up this knight. So the strongest continuation is h3, and the idea is that after bishop e3, the white protects the bishop to have knight f6 check. Of course, and then if queen g7, as far as I understand, bishop h5 would follow, and if queen e4, bishop f3, and then rook f7, well, something unbelievable. Yeah. Well, just what to say, it's just impossible to find. But yeah, that's why computers are so strong. They do find unbelievable resources in almost any position. And well, yeah, that's, of course, this position is evaluated as 0-0-0 by the engine. But I believe it's still very, very hard to play with white. Equal material, but everything is hanging, and basically even bishop f4 black can play. Right, I didn't play rook f3, of course. h3, I mean, I played some very, very bad move, rook f3, but I just needed to make a move. You see, 40 seconds to go. Okay, for every move I make, I get 30 additional seconds, but... And okay, I have a completely lost position. Well, I do have an idea, I mean, a hope that my 2 bishops will give me some kind of compensation, but for the moment I just needed to survive these last moves, not to blunder anything more. But yeah, luckily, and I couldn't believe my eyes, but my opponent forgot about the fact that this pawn is hanging. I mean, here it was not hanging because the rook was protected by the queen, and the queen could not go away. And here it's hanging, and my opponent simply forgot about it, and she blundered the pawn. And so the position became equal, although during the game it felt like I'm almost winning after such a bad position that I had before that. It felt that, okay, her king is weaker. So, and I have all those ideas with, I don't know, queen c7 and beautiful checkmates, that it felt to me that I'm the one playing for a win. And well, that's probably why I won at the end. g5. It's not a bad move, but I was surprised to see such a big commitment. The king gets so much weaker after that, and I went to this fourth line that happened in the game, And of course I saw the idea that I played before playing queen d2, and of course I was carried away completely by this idea. But surprisingly, I'm not winning here. King g8 still holds a balance, although during the game I thought that king g8 is not possible because of queen to e2. I mean, I can always make a draw by playing rook g5, rook f5, but I was going to play queen e2, and I thought that I'm so much better. But you see, the eval bar just saying 0, 0, 0. Yeah. But of course, when Eline went for this line, I'm sure she was certain that after king g6, I have to make a draw by playing rook g5, king f7, rook f5, and it's a cute draw, cute repetition. But I saw this idea, which I played in the game, queen e2. I give up this rook, but because of the weakness of her king, because of the fact that she cannot just move away her queen because of this checkmate, she has to give up her queen. But okay, that was not very difficult to see because, well, all my ideas were connected with creating an attack, and you always search and look for these ideas around this weakened king. But what was very difficult for me is to evaluate the position after queen sacrifice, because I thought that, okay, I should have some advantage, but I have a very weak king. Her pawns will start moving first, and that was not very clear to me. And I was pretty tired. I must say that I barely made it to the end of this tournament, because after the Grand Swiss, after 2 matches for the Women's Speed Chess Championship, I was really suffering. And yeah, I was not sure at all. Okay, the king blockaded the pawn on e2. And well, when you look with the engine, it's so easy. You just see the evaluation +5 and you know it's winning, and again, it's not interesting at all. While in the game, it's very tense. You have no clue how to evaluate this position. You believe in your queen, of course. ChessQueen should believe in her queen, right? But other than that, okay, you have this like feeling that it should be better for white, but how much better, I had no idea. And actually I was waiting for my teammate to win on the 3rd board so I can secure a draw and a victory in this match, but my teammate was playing and playing and playing, and actually she, after having a completely winning position, she ended up in some trouble, so I felt like I have to play on. And I played on. You see, I have 7 minutes, here I have 6, here I have 5, and here 4, so I was hesitating. I couldn't find really the way to continue, but then okay, I managed to understand that bishop h3 is very strong. I have to exchange, and yeah, my pawns are also pretty strong. And the position, the ending position is pretty chaotic. It's my teammate that was still playing on the 3rd board. She said she was thinking to accept the draw or not to accept the draw, because there was a repetition on her board. And she said, well, I tried to evaluate your position, but I couldn't. I said, well, I couldn't evaluate it myself. So she did repeat the moves on the 3rd board, and I did win my game. Yeah, just queen e5, and the newly one more queen is gonna appear on the board. So, well, a nice ending, like after move 40, that's a perfectly played game. Before move 40, there are some questions to me that can be asked, but other than that, of course, I was very happy with 3 out of 3. After first 3 draws, I won 3 next games, and unfortunately, I lost the last one, but to Elizabeth Putz, even though I played white again. So, like, the pairings was very great to me, but somehow I forgot my opening preparation. and I so here, like the main opening idea connected with knight a5, c takes b4 and d4. I played knight e3 instead, and then I went to a very interesting pawn sacrifice, but okay, I didn't have to sacrifice. I could have prepared this move, right? I could have played g3, castle, h4, and even though black is more than okay in this position, well, the material is still equal. h4 is also a very interesting move that happens often in similar positions, but here I shouldn't have tried to win back the pawns that I sacrificed. I had to play rook b1 with the idea that if black castles, which seems to be inaccuracy, I can play bishop a3, and after bishop e7, bishop b4. And suddenly, black's position is pretty unpleasant, I must say. And I do have this plan with creating an attack on the h-file. Oh, it's not that clear. And, well, basically that was the only moment in the game where I could have played so much better. Well, of course, I had some other moments to save it, but I must say that this position is pretty unpleasant already for white. I had to play knight f4 and bishop f1 immediately, and here rook e3 is a bad decision, but if I already made this move, I had to play bishop e2. After knight f4, the position is lost. And I did try my best to survive, but Elizabeth played well, and I ended up surviving the time trouble, which was not very easy already. But at the end I was so tired, and I blundered rook b1 I played here, and I blundered queen e3. What was I supposed to do? There was one line where I'm not really holding, but I can hope for some miracle to happen. So here I could have tried to play knight c2, queen c6 Elizabeth would play, and here knight d4 loses, and I saw that it loses because of rook d4 and then rook h6, and yes, checkmate. But I don't have to play knight d4, and I saw it as well during the game, but I just couldn't believe. I mean, I can play rook b1 with the idea to capture on b7 after rook h6, and here I can play queen f1, king f1. And yes, the position is bad, but there's still some work to do for black. What is interesting that the material is the same, like it's equal. I want to play rook b4. I have ideas connected with queen h8 and rook b8. And again, when you look with the engine, it seems that everyone loses. Everything loses. But not so clear. No, still some moves to make. But of course I was not very happy. I was very disappointed with this game with white, because I was showing the second best performance on the first board, and just a draw would be enough for me to win a medal on my board. And with this loss, I lost a few more rating points, and I got the 5th place on the first board, so not a medal. But anyway, it was a nice tournament with more good games than in the Grand Swiss, and no, I will not be doing a Sub Sunday this Sunday, and no next Sunday, so probably the 16th and the 23rd, these two Sundays, I will try to do 2 last Sundays of the year, because I'm flying to Uzbekistan on the 24th, and yeah, I will try to organize a stream from the B Cup. Maybe it will just be an IRL stream, but I will try to do it. to implement an IRL stream into a regular stream. So, and unfortunately I need some help for that, but that I don't have, but I will try to do it on my own. We'll see if I manage or not. But nevertheless, tomorrow I'm flying to England, one more tennis tournament of my daughter, and then next week I should be in Paris for a few days. And yeah, somewhere from December 10th you can expect a few more streams before the World Repetent Blitz in Uzbekistan. So that's the plan, and I hope that you enjoyed this. Georgia, I wish I could. I don't even have enough air miles of Turkish Airlines to be a frequent traveler, right? They have the basic level, and then they have a frequent traveler level, and I still need 8,000 more, and I won't be able to get them during my trip to Uzbekistan. Yes, so I hope that you enjoyed this stream. We did have a few subs and gift subs, so thank you so much for your support. And let me see who is streaming right now, so I can send the rate. And expect to hear from me next Saturday. I will try to make a stream from the B Cup, Kevin's B Cup, the B Cup, the second edition I won. So we'll see how the third one is gonna go. Anyway, it's gonna be a lot of fun, I'm sure about it. So let me see who is streaming, so I can send the rate. Kevin. Let's send the rate to Kevin. Blitz stream. It's going to be in French though. But say hi to him and say that I'm going to pack my suitcases. We'll be flying to Paris soon. Okay, take care, guys. Thank you for watching. Thank you for supporting, and hopefully I'll see you next week. Bye-bye, ciao. Georgia, we'll try. We'll do. Okay, bye-bye. Thank you.